Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me again. Guys, I was gone for a few days. I think a lot of you know why. Thanks so much to everyone who reached out to say hi, but we're back. And you know what we do on this channel, so let's just get straight into it. So when I came back online, I saw this interesting sort of thing that's happened between YouTuber slash content creator versus the Row, the very famous American luxury fashion house. Now, before we get into it, because we have a lot to talk about, it's quite juicy what is going on here. I have to say, I think if you support me, you know that the Row is not a brand that I keep up with or like that much. The only thing I keep up to date with is I think their exotics. I don't know if they still make exotics, but there was a period of time when they still when they made exotics, which by the way were priced like Hermes exotics. Okay. There are a few reasons. Number one, I'm a maximalist, so minimalist brands, for me, I need to see texture. I still need to see some colors. The Row is not a brand that I personally gravitate to. On the more minimalist side, I like Ferragamo, Alaya, Max Mara, Kate. And obviously Kate and the Row, I think, are like direct competitors, but those are the more minimalist girls that I like personally. So yeah, like I said, Ferragamo, Max Mara, Alaya. But of course, what the twins have achieved in 2 decades is incredible, and they need a lot of credit for that. We know that the brothers who own Chanel have invested in them. They are super successful, and they should be so proud of their achievements. However, the Row has a cult following, and brands that have a cult following, it's hard sometimes to give a nuanced, critical view of brands with cult followings because their supporters will come on a chariot like Charlton Heston in Ben-Hur to defend them. And you will be dragged so hard, you'll have no hair left. I experienced this many years ago when I was first trying to get this channel off the ground. I've been doing it for 6 years as of next year. And I remember basically just saying that I didn't think Coach was a luxury brand. And when I tell you that the Coach Chariot Ben warriors came for me, I'm not kidding. They came for me. They dragged me, honey. I was dragged like I was on a chariot. Like, it was insane. My husband was like, you're fighting for your life. So I learned early on, there are certain brands that have a cult following and their supporters are going to go hard for them, honey, and they don't play about them. To this day, the Coach logo, I know, like, if I go to a international city where there's a Coach store and I walk past Coach, I know Coach is like, again, do you want some of this again? Do you want to get dragged? Yes or no? I'm like, no, I do not. Okay. Now, if you are a content creator, you know very well if you post controversial things, people are going to react to it. So if you know this influencer, it's not shade or hate towards her or anything like that, but she put it out there. So people are going to react, okay? Because I don't want anyone coming in here trying to tone police me. Don't tone police me, because that is not going to work. And to the Coach warriors who might be watching this, Coach is still not a luxury brand. And yes, I have the tabby and I love it. I love it. I'm loving it. Okay, so there's a content creator called Neelam Ahooja. She is a collector of the Row. So this is what's happened. She has a YouTube channel. I've seen her videos before. She is a Row shopper, a client of the brand, and a collector. But she's also an influencer and content creator as well. So Neelam wrote a Substack post. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll link it below. I just wanted to read a few bits and bobs of it, and then you can read the whole thing. It's linked below. Neelam basically says it's a breakup letter with the Row. So like I said, she's a top client at the Row. She has decided to break up with the brand. She goes on to say something which I thought was really interesting. She says, you courted me, welcomed me into your showroom, made a fuss over me in store, handed me VIP access to sample sales. You swaggered, I swooned. You seemed like the perfect partner, and you were undeniably the best dressed. I like that. But our honeymoon, as dazzling as it was, didn't last long, and the red flags appeared early. I slowly began to realize that you were far from an ideal partner, and with the benefit of hindsight, it's now clear to me I was seeing you through rose-colored Row glasses. You tried to control me, to dictate my work, to downplay what I built. and all the while you profited from my efforts. But the hard part was when you became increasingly and unforgivably rude. She goes on to say one time, like, they'd even apologized to her about, I think, something that had happened. She goes on to say, I truly thought you'd value having someone like me by your side, someone who sang your praises even when they were undeserved. Okay. Understood your craft and was fiercely loyal. I strove to be the ultimate partner. Your loss. I considered I considered a clean break, but that would have hurt me more than you. I invested too much time, money, and emotion to pretend nothing went on between us. So I'll keep what's worth carrying and keep it with me. Sorry, I'll keep what's worth keeping and carry it with me, but the relationship we now have will be on my terms. My commentary will be free and unfiltered. So yeah, you can read the whole thing. It went viral. A lot of people are talking about it. The Business of Fashion also picked it up, and they also did an article that goes into more detail about essentially what happened. So like I said, she did put a follow-up post on her Substack, but it's paywalled. And, that's unfortunate. I think she should have allowed it to be open. When something goes viral, it should be open so that you can reach as many people as possible. But it's neither here nor there, because the Business of Fashion did write a post, and they also talked about this as well. So I'll also link the Business of Fashion one, but I think that one might also be paywalled. Okay, so in the Business of Fashion, she also basically here in the Business of Fashion here, like I said, unfortunately it is also paywall, but basically she goes on to tell the Business of Fashion and highlight that there was, I think, an article in the Wall Street Journal that was supposed to come out, I think, about the Row, and she was going to be featured in it, and the Row did something behind the scenes to basically get rid of that, which is very unfortunate. She talks about how the Row could be really controlling and all of this stuff. And on her YouTube channel, she's posted about the Margaux many times. She's posted a ton of details. So like I said, we're not going to go through every single thing because she has already discussed a lot of this stuff in detail. And like I said, I've seen her content before. And like I said, I'm not a Row client. I'm sure the Row don't care about me. I'm sure I'm not their target market. I believe Neelam's background is in finance. She had a very successful career in financial services. So she is definitely the client that the Row wants. And in the article, the Business of Fashion talks about how content creators are kind of speaking up more, basically against brands. The article talks about how, I think Wisdom K had, said something about Miu Miu, that thing that he did on TikTok. There's another content creator who's also mentioned in this article as well, who talks about another brand as well. So the question here that I guess I want to ask you guys is, what do you think about Neelam basically breaking up with the Row? Do you think it matters if people who have a lot of followers speak up against a brand? People like Neelam and people like, Wisdom and so on and so forth? Or do you think it doesn't really matter? So here's the thing. On this channel, we don't play both sides. We don't try and keep the peace so that people don't shout at us in comments. I'm not afraid to have a point of view, honey. Okay, even when the coach Chariot Warriors dragged me. Okay? But I do have a very nuanced view on this. First of all, I have always found the Row to be really pretentious. But I respect what they have achieved because I think it's really incredible what they've achieved. But I think that there's a kind of pretentiousness to the Row that I find a little bit annoying. I think the fact that the twins don't like to do press, I think it's a bit dated, and I think it's a very outdated way of promoting a fashion line in 2025. Say what you want about the Jonathan Andersons, but Jonathan Anderson will speak to the media. He's always posting on his socials, and that I think played a massive role in making Loewe really desirable, and which is obviously where he was working before, and his own namesake brand as well. And of course, now what he's doing at Dior, Grace Wells Bonner is now the new head of the men's Big H, Hermes, like fashion for menswear. She has done a ton of media. She's happy to speak to the media. She's happy to talk to people. And you know who has really surprised me? Nadege Vanay, who is the creative director of women's Hermes, like Hermes women's wear. She has been quite the revelation because she just did the Wall Street Journal, the job interview, you know, that thing on the Wall Street Journal's YouTube channel. And she came across warm, she came across vibrant, she was funny. Like, Nadege seems like she's fun. And with all due respect, like, I don't think, when I think of Hermes, I don't think of fun, vibrant, like, I would like to have a cocktail with you and go out on the lash and go out on a night out with you. I don't think that. I don't think I want to get absolutely wrecked with you. She seemed like she was a lot of fun. That stuff does matter in 2025. I know many of you think that the twins don't have to do what everyone else has to do. And I think many of you, yes, I'm going there, let the twins get away with some of the things that they do because they are famous celebrities. If the Olsen twins were not famous celebrities, they wouldn't have the following that they have today. Arguably, the brand wouldn't be as successful as it is today. And I would go even further. Everything that's happened to Neelam in terms of the way the Row has treated her has happened because the twins want it to be that way. They control the brand. They're not going to sit here and say that, oh, we didn't know that the Row drags influencers. It is their decision. They're the ones who made the decision that you shouldn't have cameras at their fashion shows. But no one's really talking about their fashion shows like that. I can happily cover their next show for autumn winter for the next fashion weeks if you guys want. But even when I was researching to film this video, I noticed that no one was really talking about their collection. They don't allow people to take pictures. They don't invite influencers to their events, which is fine. But no one's really checking for them and talking about it. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to be successful. I'm reminded of something someone had posted once on one of these Versace posts when Donatella like left the creative director job and now she's like the ambassador. Someone was like, you know, I've been following fashion my whole life. I don't know anyone who buys from Versace. I responded to them. Obviously, most of you know Versace is one of my favorite houses. I responded. I was like, go buy. I mean, Versace sold €1 billion worth of merchandise last year. Like, so what? So what? You don't know anyone who shops there. I mean, what the hell does that mean? So, of course, it doesn't mean that they're not successful. But I definitely think that it is important to be talked about. And it does matter on a visceral level for the evolution of a brand and for a brand to stay relevant. If people didn't talk about Hermes or Chanel or Dior or Louis Vuitton, they wouldn't be as successful as they are today. And I don't think anyone can sit here and say to me that the Row is as successful as it is without a lot of the social media attention. That doesn't mean that the business isn't profitable, and it does make a ton of money. I think they make a few $100 million a year. But influencers are what made the Margaux trending. No one's going to sit here and put their wig on and tell me that the Margaux it was an organic, you know, thing without influencers and without PR. Vogue were promoting it. Obviously, there's PR involved. No one's going to sit here and tell me that. Look, I've been working in marketing my entire adult life. They had a very dedicated marketing strategy to promote that bag because respectfully, the aesthetics of the bag is not nicer than, in my opinion, a lot of other bags that you see at other places. I think the Ferragamo hug looks much nicer than the Margaux, if you ask me. So definitely they have had a marketing strategy to promote the brand. And I think it's testament to the fact that the twins are able to make people think, oh, we don't market the brand. Yeah, they do market the brand. Of course they do. And any assertion that they don't market the brand is completely false. So I think in terms of Neelam and influencers like her who are shoppers of the Row, they became clients of the brand, but they also are influencers. Of course, they play a role. Now, that said, that doesn't mean that influencers are the reason the Row is successful. No, but they play even currently an important part in the brand kind of being part of the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? So I think like the treatment of Neelam by the Row is unfortunate. There were some really interesting comments on the Business of Fashion's Instagram. I wanted to highlight some of them because some of them were very interesting. They're kind of just, responding. Many people were critiquing her, and many people, I think, were being, and I think it's a little unfair. As I always say, when it comes to this stuff, play the ball, not the man. Don't attack people just because they don't have the same opinion as you, but definitely you can share your view, and and it's okay if you don't like support or agree with what the person has to say, but don't make it a personal attack. I think that there is a degree of hypocrisy, I think, as well, when it pertains to luxury brands, because a lot of people think that influencers are not important, and a lot of people are annoyed with the presence of influencers. But the same people who would be annoyed are the same people who follow influencers and read influencer stories and watch influencer luxury unboxing. So I think we all need to kind of be kind of Gucci about this. You can't say that, she's not important. She is, in terms of, what she's done. Even me as a maximalist, I have seen her videos, and I'm not a Row person. I'm not a minimalist. I've already told you, if I am interested in minimalism, it will definitely be Max Mara. I have a Max Mara swimsuit. It would be Ferragamo. I'm interested in some pieces. And it would be Alaya, and maybe even Laura Piana. Okay, so there's some comments here on the Business of Fashion's page that I thought were really interesting and that I wanted to highlight. I'm just going to read the comments out. The people, again, this is a public forum. People put them with their name, so I think it's fair game to repost some of these. There's a comment here. Someone wrote, the brand controls branding, not the customer. An influencer/fan has absolutely no right to demand special treatment or dictate how a brand is presented. The Row is intentionally exclusive. Refusing to pander to influencers is literally why people respect the brand. I agree and I disagree with this. I don't think that she was asking for special treatment. I think she was explaining the things that have happened to her. But the Row, yes, is a super exclusive brand, but exclusivity in luxury is based on a lot of things. It's based on heritage. The Row's only been around for 20 years. Thierry Hermès was running around making saddles in the 1830s, 1840s. The brand started in 1837. Louis Vuitton, arrives in Paris, begins as a trunk maker, launches his brand in 1854. Timing, pedigree, heritage does matter, but also price. The products are very expensive. I've seen some of their products, because I know the Row warriors are coming to defend the Row in the comments. Don't worry, the Olsen twins don't need you to defend them, honey. Okay? I've seen some of the clothes in person. I've seen the quality. The quality is there, but I don't necessarily think the clothing quality is better than, say, Max Mara. Or Alaya's clothing quality, which I think is absolutely superb from what I've seen in boutiques in Paris. So I think this idea of refusing to pander to influencers is why people respect the brand. Influencers are the reason why people are talking about the Margaux, and why the Margaux went viral, and why the Margaux was so hard to get. So there is a bit of a double standard there. But I do agree when she says that an influencer has no right to demand special treatment. Yeah, that's fine. Someone else here says, we help put, she's quoting what Neelam had said. Neelam had said, we helped put the Row on the map. And the person responds saying, the delusion is real. Does she know the brand has been on the scene and selling well for years before influencers discovered it? Yes, it has. Absolutely. But it is at the height of its popularity because of social media. Okay? Of course, people have been buying Birkins for years. Of course, Hermès has always been that chic. But social media and luxury unboxing videos have taken Big H onto another level of fame and success. There's no question about it. Now, this reminds me of something that happened with Bethany Frankel, who was on The Real Housewives. Bethany had posted a TikTok. One of you had sent it to me. Bethany got dragged by her Big H essay, and she was basically saying that she was told off. She got told off by one of her Big H essays. And Bethany was saying that basically she had sold the Hermès lip oil out in America. Now, Bethany is a celebrity. She's a star. She's made for TV. I think she should go back and do reality TV because she is fantastic on television. But Bethany, you are not the reason why the Hermes lip oil has sold out. Hermes's lip oil is going to sell out regardless. So yes, I do agree that a lot of influencers who like the Row, yes, they have played a role in the Row being super successful and more successful. But the twins have been at this for 2 decades. And yes, it has been doing well. But arguably, social media has taken the brand to another level. I actually have a conspiracy theory about why the twins are really against influencers. This is what I think. And again, because the twins don't talk and do press often, when they do talk, it's to like business media. So they'll do an interview like the Financial Times. But because they won't even do like a sit down interview, again, it doesn't have to be a podcast. I'm also exhausted with podcasts at the moment. Because they won't even do a sit down interview with like a Susie Menkes or someone like that. She's a very famous fashion journalist, or I think Vanessa Friedman of the New York Times. Because they won't do those interviews, it's hard for us to know how they feel. But my conspiracy theory about the twins and the Row is that they have been celebrities their entire life since they were babies on TV shows. They have done multiple movies and all sorts of things. They have been celebrities their entire life. I think that they don't think that influencers are real celebrities. But the reality is, influencers have more power than celebrities. Let's be clear. An influencer can definitely play a role to drive people to a store for certain things. Now, not necessarily luxury fashion, so I think luxury fashion is a different kettle of fish, but definitely beauty. So influencers can definitely sell out certain beauty products more than a celebrity can. Okay. And I think fashion designers have even said just because a celebrity wears a garment or a piece of clothing does not mean that it's going to sell out. And that is also something that a lot of fashion designers have said, that it actually costs them money to make looks for celebrities and things like that, especially if they're not being paid. So my conspiracy theory is that I think that the twins maybe feel like influencers are not real celebrities, whereas they are real celebrities. But at the end of the day, they were on television and have been in entertainment their whole lives. So they've been able to create their own media PR cycles. There were blogs dedicated to the Olsen twins style, like on Tumblr. So while, again, we're just speculating that maybe the Olsen twins don't see influencers as real celebrities, the reality is influencers who have a lot of followers are de facto celebrities. Wisdom K is a celebrity. Michaela Nogueira is a celebrity. They have millions of followers, millions and millions and millions of followers on TikTok and Instagram. Michaela and Wisdom have more followers than a lot of celebrities, to be honest. So the question here is, maybe the twins feel like, well, they're not real celebrities like us, and we don't really want to be connected to influencers because we're above that. When even the grande dame of quiet luxury herself, aka Big H, aka Hermes, even she works with celebrities, honey. I mean, with influencers. She works with influencers. She pays influencers. You think all the influencers going to the Hermes fashion show, you think they're going there for free? They are going there because they're paid. You think when influencers repost Hermes beauty, they haven't been paid? You think so? Guys, I'm going to hold your hand when I tell you this. Hermes works with influencers, okay? And Hermes pays them. And that's what good business people should do. So I think in this case, with the situation with Neelam, I think it's a very nuanced situation. And I think it's very nuanced because I think that there are a lot of good points that she made. But also, I also understand where a lot of the criticism, where she's getting a lot of criticism. So, for example, there's a comment here from someone who wrote what I think is there's some tough critiques here, but they are fair. Basically, the person says that she's a walking contradiction. Yes, she's a loyal client. She shouldn't have been mistreated, but there are two sides to every story. I agree. She links competitors who blatantly copy the Row's designs. She complains about items becoming too popular, but she herself over popularizes them by linking them left and right. Yeah, it's a fair critique. She writes a breakup letter as if she's a victim, but puts the details behind a paywall. I agree, knowing that she'll gain more followers and subscribers who are curious for the tea. I agree. I was disappointed to see that she put the second update behind a paywall. I have to say, if anyone knows her, she should tell her to take the paywall down. And because it can reach more people, it will definitely reach people who are into luxury fashion but maybe don't like the Row, like me, who are into luxury fashion but maybe aren't minimalists like me. And other people. I'm not saying I'm the queen of the world. I'm just saying you reach more people. The person says, in many ways, she's the antithesis of what the Row wants. Okay, I disagree with this because I do think Neelam is like what they're looking for. I think, they are looking for like successful women and stuff like that. And she's had a successful career in finance. And it makes sense that they're keeping their distance from her. This doesn't justify any rudeness, but I'm sure the Row has its own side of the story. The difference is they don't need to be so public. Yeah, I agree with a lot of this, with most of this, because she does link to companies. I think the Business of Fashion has said that she's linked to wholesalers that have very similar aesthetics to the Row. She's linked to companies that have a similar look to the Row. Yeah, that's going to piss off the Row. And I also agree with this part about you can't complain that items are too popular, but you link them as well. And I also think it's kind of like, when you go to school, there are those people, and I'm not saying that she's pretentious or anything. I don't know her. I'm sure she's a wonderful person. But when you're at school, there are people who are like the really cool people who, listen to vinyl records because the music sounds better. I had a friend who would only listen to vinyl records on a record player because she said the audio sounds better. Beyonce is my favorite artist. I have Crazy in Love on vinyl. It sounds really good when you play it on vinyl, but honestly, it sounds really great in my headphones and in my car on CD or on a USB or whatever. So sometimes it does kind of feel like maybe sometimes some people are being pretentious. Again, I just want to be clear, I'm not talking about her, but I'm talking about this idea of being upset that things are really popular, but you yourself will also overpopularize them. And you can't say you're upset about something being popular, but you yourself are purchasing it, which also makes it popular. You know what I mean? So I think that there were a lot of super interesting comments here. And, someone else here said the Row has been around longer than TikTok and influencers. Get over yourself. Again, that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. Someone else here says the Olsen twins don't even front advertising for the Row, so it's not surprising they wouldn't want influencers to be the face of their advertising either. I don't know. I don't agree with that either. They have been very famous for a long time. They know very well that if they want to speak to any media in the world and do an interview today, fashion journalists from all over the world will be jumping to speak to Mary Kay and to speak to Ashley. The case between Neelam and the Row, there's a really interesting point here that the Business of Fashion, the Business of Fashion also basically say here. They say here, like I said, the Business of Fashion say that her claims that the Row they deleted, well, I can't say that K word because I'll get flagged on YouTube. The Row deleted a Wall Street Journal story about Ahooja's love for the brand, scolded her for posting about the annual sample sale, chastised her, for posting affiliate links to wholesalers. I think ultimately, that this should be a lesson to all content creators because she's super interesting. She is a client of the Row, but she's also an influencer and a content creator. And I think that's also really important to note. You see this at Hermes as well. They are top tier VIP spenders of the brand who shop at the brand, but they're also content creators and influencers, and they influence other Hermes clients to buy certain things. Now, it's my understanding that the fashion industry and luxury fashion houses are unsure of how to kind of deal with clients who are clients, but also influencers. I actually spoke to a friend about this who works in fashion PR in London. And I spoke to her about this because I was super curious to know, what do brands actually think about unboxing videos and fashion videos? And she said that some brands actually really love seeing the whole videos. Brands are aware of the luxury unboxing haul videos. They know about this genre of video. And definitely brands like Chanel, Dior, Hermes, Louis Vuitton are very aware of this thing, of this kind of trend of unboxings and luxury haul videos and so on and so forth. So I think that it's a difficult kind of push and pull, because the same exclusivity that people love the Row for is the same exclusivity that is mistreating her, right? And as much as we can drag influencers for a lot of things, we cannot discount that it's not one influencer that has put the Row on. That is wrong. So it's like when Bethany's like, I sold out the lip oil, in America for Hermes. Bethany, baby girl, you are a star, but you are not the reason why it's sold out. Yes, there is an interest in Hermes products, so people will go and buy it. Influencers are part of the cog that made the Row successful, but they are not the driving reason of the brand's success. So I hope that what Neelam should do, and Neelam, if you're watching, honey, you've done, big things with your platform. You have definitely introduced the Row to new people. I have watched videos about the Row because of Neelam's channel. Like I said, I'm not the target market for this content. And I've seen her videos before. What I think Neelam should do, go support other brands who want her support. There are a lot of other more minimalist houses who would love someone like her to promote their product and would definitely pay. I know that people, look down on the fast fashion girls, but let me tell you, big H&M, honey, if they come with a check, I would take that check. I think, go get a check, honey, go get a bag, because the H&M will pay, ASOS will pay. There are a lot of brands who would love to work with her, and if that's how much she loves the brand. And I think another thing I would say to influencers like her and other content creators is, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. I say this to all of you guys who love Hermes so much. I'm always like, guys, go to other brands, and if you love Hermes and love Chanel and love Dior so much, go and shop at other houses as well. Don't just shop at one brand, because you do leave yourself up to be quite vulnerable if there's mistreatment. And also to my friend's point, I just wanted to kind of expand on that, because I just realized I didn't expand on it in a lot of detail. She was saying brands don't want to lose top clients. So if you're a client but you also are a content creator and influencer, they don't want to invite you to Fashion Week as an influencer, because they're going to have to pay you. They want you to go as a client, where you're going to be expected to spend 100,000 euros buying ready-to-wear bits and pieces and buying fine jewelry and buying all kinds of things. So there is a push and pull there, where the PR team absolutely does not want to invite you. If you are a top spender at the brand, they don't want to invite you to, Fashion Week and to Reese's, because they want you to go and buy things as a client. And I think that that's a fair point. I think that's a really fair point. Morgan Stewart Margaux has talked about this as well, I think, on the Cutting Room Floor podcast. I think she'd said she'd been to Chanel as an influencer, but she's also a client. And she also had talked about how they really don't want clients to become influencers, because they don't want to lose that revenue stream. And that's the same thing that my friend also said. So perhaps there is that, and maybe in the experience that perhaps that Neelam had, maybe the Row also are like, hey, we want you to spend more money with us. We don't just want you to be like an influencer or a content creator. And yes, like I said, again, I remember once there was an influencer who said something similar about Chanel once, a long time ago. I remember hearing it on YouTube. Oh, I'm the reason why this Chanel bag sold out. It's like, girl, please, like, you're not the reason why Chanel was sold out, So like I said, there's a push and pull there. So let me know what you think. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think the Row is really pretentious. I think the way they've handled this is kind of pretentious. Whatever your thoughts are on Big H. And Big H does pull stunts like this. There are clients who have responded many times and said that Big H has sometimes told people like, don't post quota bags online because then people complain. We know that Hermes does blacklist clients. We know that there is a blacklist and people have been blacklisted from the brand, which I think is just really fascinating. I'm not blacklisted. So we know that Hermes also, and Louis Vuitton also blacklist clients as well. So this world of brands blacklisting and retaliating against clients, I think is such a fascinating thing. Maybe that can be a video that we can do as well. So what did you think of Neelam's open letter on Substack? And like I said, salute to her. It is not easy to put yourself out there because the Row has a cult following. So there'll be a lot of people who are going to come for her and attack her. But I thought that her comments were fair. I just wish that the follow-up wasn't paywalled. But after reading The Business of Fashion, I can see a lot from both sides. But fundamentally speaking, where do I stand? This is where I stand. Stop putting one brand on a pedestal. Okay, guys, I've said it. I don't care if it's the Row. I don't care if it's Hermes. Go and support a wide range of brands and go where you are valued. Okay, if a brand is not valuing me and my time, I'm putting my wig on and I'm going to leave. And I think that's what she should have done a long time ago if she felt like they weren't valuing her. And also, they didn't ask her to post those videos. She didn't have to post them. So there's really no need also to kind of like announce your departure. I guess maybe for the people who follow her, maybe they want to know why she's not posting the Row anymore. But it kind of reminds me of something that a Chanel client had said about the Mathieu Blasi collection. She had posted this on Instagram and then someone reposted it on Threads. And it was basically her saying that her and her mother are no longer going to shop at Big C anymore. I think that's even why I had said my Chanel video was, this is not your mother's Chanel. And basically she was announcing her departure. And I'm just kind of like, you don't need to announce your departure though. You just put your wig on, boo-boo, and you leave. Because trust me, Chanel is a company that's been around for more than a century. They are the queens of evolution, constantly evolving with the times. They will be fine. People will go and buy the Mathieu Blasi collection and it will be very successful. And I know there'll be Chanel people. I'm a Chanel client. I actually buy Chanel. You're going to be there unboxing stuff and I don't want to hear anything about it. Okay. Now, when this person had posted that, I remember kind of thinking like, you know, I thought it was a bit dramatic for her to just base off one catwalk show. She hasn't seen his other shows and his other work. And a lot of people in that thread post agreed that the response was a little dramatic. And then one of her friends was trying to defend her. And this is why I was like, and her friend came for me as well. Like, well, I know her personally. She's a top client. Girl, she's one person. Her and her mother are one person. You think one person is going to stop two people, I beg your pardon, is going to stop a 20 billion euro company? Come on now. Okay, and again, you posted it publicly so people are allowed to respond. So I think that she should go and support other brands. I also think she shouldn't have put the Row on such a huge pedestal because I don't think, me personally, I don't think the Row's that great. My opinion now. Okay, the Row chariot warriors about to come for me, honey, and put me in the Colosseum for saying that. But I said what I said. I think it's overhyped. But not everything is for everyone, and that's okay. So I think I think it was brave for her to post it, but also I think it was really interesting. It's gone viral. Everyone's kind of talking about it, so I wanted to share my thoughts. Fundamentally speaking, the brand doesn't owe her anything except treating her well. Doesn't sound like they treated her well, and that is something that they should correct. But they didn't ask her to post those videos. She didn't have to post those videos. She also benefited from posting those videos because she created a platform for herself. So if you ask me, it is kind of like a business relationship that is no longer profitable for either side. You cut your losses, you move on, and you find new business partners. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Love to hear what you have to say. Keep it Gucci in the comments. You don't have to agree with me. This is a broad church here on my channel, meaning I can hear other people's views. Just don't attack people just because they don't like what you have to say. I get that a lot. You know, people come for me, they drag me. Someone was dragging the way I looked in a video. I'm like, that's how you lose an argument, when you start dragging the way people look. Okay, because you don't like something they said. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.